Here we go. All right, so again, the standalone PC build is if you're using the mouse and keyboard to control your avatar. So again, that's FPS controller. Or if you're using the Oculus Rift S, that's directly connected to your machine. So the way that you would do that process is, open up your project in the Unity editor. And once you have it loaded in, you just need to go and click on File on the menu bar at the top and go ahead and click Build Settings. And that should pop this window at the very top. First thing that you want to make sure is that under the platform section, you have PC, Mac, and Linux standalone selected as your target platform. So you'll know that's actually set as the correct target because you can see the Unity icon there on the right-hand side of the platform name. Another thing you want to make sure is that you want to make sure that your scene is actually listed in the scenes in build section. So as you can see inside that box, I have the sandbox scene listed, which is this exact scene that I have open right now in my scene view, which means that we are good to go. If you don't see anything listed in there, right, you just want to open up the scene that contains your actual virtual environment and your avatars, and you just want to click this Add Open Scene button on the bottom right corner of the section, and that should add that exact scene right there. And once you have these two sorted out, it's just a matter of clicking the Build button. Now, when you're actually saving your standalone build, what you actually want to do is you want to create a brand new folder. So like an empty folder, because this build is going to generate a couple of folders as well as some extra files like an DLLs. So to avoid confusion, just make sure to create a brand new folder for it. So in this case, I'm just going to do a quick standalone build folder. And just make sure to select that folder. And then it's just a matter of waiting for the build process to finish right here. Now, once that finishes, the File Explorer window should pop up with the actual folder open that you've selected. And as you can see there, it actually generated this exe file right here. So it's a bit weird. It's Oculus Integration Stable. It's dependent on the name of your project, but you can just rename that to anything. So, like assignment 2 something. Doesn't really matter too much. And you just need to go ahead and double click on that file. Oh, okay. So you can't rename it. There you go. My bad. So you have to leave that alone because otherwise it's not going to be able to recognize the data folder, because this data folder does contain all of your assets. Never mind. All right. So if you go ahead and double click that, that should open up this quick standalone application with your application running on it. So the reason it's called standalone, again, because I've got a couple questions about this yesterday, it is because you don't need the editor to run the application. So it's its own program. Again, it's an executable file that gets generated, which you open in order to actually bring up this exact application right here. Now, if you want to go ahead and exit, if you haven't actually coded in like an exit to desktop, script or something, you can just go ahead and press Alt F4 to force quit back to desktop, and that should bring it back. So when it comes time to actually submitting the standalone build, you just need to take the actual folder that contains everything here. So in my case, standalone build, and just zip that up. So right click, send to, and then select the compressed folder option. And there you go. So you just submit this along with your written report in the Milo submission page for assignment 2. All right, fairly simple. Now that's for the first case. So that's the standalone option. Now, if you're targeting Oculus Quest, so you're deploying your program to the Oculus Quest platform, I've got a second. There we go. Yeah, so using an OVR player controller and you're using the hardware to actually control your avatar around and move around the environment. So what you need to do is, again, go to File and then Build Settings in the Editor window. And it's the same thing, but instead of targeting the PC, Mac, and Linux standalone, you're just targeting Android. So as you can see there, the Unity icon is on the right-hand side of the Android platform name. Again, just make sure that you have your scenes in build section populated with the actual scene that you're using. Now, as for actually building the APK, you just need to go ahead and click on Build. And this time, what I probably recommend is I just recommend, like creating a folder called APK somewhere. Like you could put it in your project folder or you could put it on desktop. It doesn't really matter as long as you know where to actually find that specific file. So in my case, I'm just going to go to the APK folder and I'm just going to do this like Oculus Quest example and go ahead and click Save. And as long as you have the Android modules installed in your editor, which you should have done while you were setting up Unity in Unity Hub back in week 1, you shouldn't face any issues with the actual build process at all. Now, this does take a bit longer compared to creating the standalone build because you do have a lot of Oculus assets and scripts that you need to compile for the platform. So it's just a matter of being patient. Right. So while we're waiting for that to actually finish, another thing that I'd like to point out as well. So Wingyu has just put up an announcement a few days ago. So he's actually done a lecture recording talking about the specifications of Assignment 2. I just want to put that to attention because I've had some people who are still a bit confused with the actual requirements for Assignment 2. Like, asking questions like, how complex does this sort of assignment need to be, or, are they actually in the right direction in regards to the assignment, and so on and so forth. If you haven't already checked this lecture recording, I highly recommend that you do. So it should be listed inside the Echo 360 vault, and it should be the latest lecture recording down the list. So highly recommend checking that out. All right. No, that's FPS controller stable. Oh. I think, here we go. It's just about to finish. Yep, anytime now. Any minute now. Yep, there we go. All right. So once the build process is finished, that should generate this APK file right here. And again, I just named it Oculus Quest example, but feel free to name it whatever you want. Probably just put in your name on it for good measure. But, again, it doesn't really matter because we'll know where the files are coming from anyway. So yeah, so you just need to take this APK file. You don't need to zip it up because it's already small enough as it is. So take this APK file along with your written report and submit that inside the Milo submission page for Assignment 2, and you should be good. All right. So that about should do it for the actual build portion of the submission. Again, make sure to consult the really tiny web page here in the week 6 VR tab if you need to double check. And again, you can consult the recording that I just finished doing right now if you need to review on how to actually do the process of making those builds.